Good morning. It is Tuesday, October 4th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Well, we're getting more details this morning on how the Ministry of Education will be rolling out the new food and nutrition policy for schools. Some people are concerned it will make food more expensive for students, with food prices already on the rise. But the Education Minister, Kay McConney, tells the Morning Report healthier food doesn't have to translate into costing more. In fact, she explains how the pilot program during the summer has helped to guide the new policy, ensuring healthy food is affordable.
During the SUN program, the Summer Nutrition Program, our school meals department started to experiment with healthier ingredients in foods and recipes with which the children are already familiar. They did an adjustment to macaroni pie using healthier ingredients, and the children still like it, and many of them haven't even noticed the difference that has come about. But it has now less fat, it has less salt, and it has more vegetables included in that recipe. The same thing with what was the shepherd's pie. The meat, the red meat that was being used has been reduced, and something else healthier, lentils, have been substituted. However, they have been mingled and put together so well that many have not even noticed the difference. And so it is possible to make healthy tasty. And when you talk about affordable, our research has shown us that some of the ingredients that have now been substituted, in fact, making some of those dishes have become even less expensive to government.
While the Education Minister also gave the assurance to vendors, concessionaires and canteen owners to support their transition to healthier menus and more nutritious food.
They want to sell what will sell. And usually those are the things that a lot of the children like. I think what we need to do is give them the support to be able to make the transitions. Help them to see how healthier ingredients can cost no more than what they're currently using. We have already demonstrated it in our school meals department, and we are prepared to provide to them the support that is necessary to help them switch out some of the ingredients and perhaps reformulate the way they do certain things in a way that makes it just as tasty and just as affordable.
That's the Education Minister, Kay McConney, speaking exclusively to the Morning Report. Well, coming up, we have some updates on government's latest community engagement series and also an update on the war in Ukraine. Barbados is hosting a series of community engagement meetings concerning investing in renewable energy, which will allow householders to hear the benefits of renewable energy and the RE sector, among other things. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business, Sandra Husband, says one of the areas they will be pushing is the installation of photovoltaic cells.
One of the things that we're committed to as a government is seeking to provide opportunities for all citizens to be able to participate in areas where they can increase their income, where they can participate in the wealth or prosperity that may be happening in a particular sector. And of particular importance is the smart energy sector. One of the basic ways that the average citizen can benefit from it is by the installation of the photovoltaic cells on their roof, where they're able to contribute in three meaningful ways to the country. One, we're going to reduce our use of fossil fuel. That means we're going to save foreign exchange. Two, you will be generating electricity, which you will be paid for. And this is where householders will be able to save on their light bills. And depending on the size of their roof, they may even be able to earn additional dollars for their pocket, along with saving on that light bill. Now think about how important that is for a family that may be struggling at the moment. Think about a pensioner who may be on limited income, but they've paid for their house and they have a roof that can be dedicated to photovoltaic cells.
Minister Husband says some people are rejecting the idea of photovoltaic cells due to just simple lack of information.
There are some citizens who don't know that there are some finance institutions that don't need a deposit. Many people don't know that. And at our sessions, what we're going to do, we're going to talk through what is the government policy, what are the benefits, what is involved in putting those photovoltaics on your roof, the strength of the roof, how much you can put on it, how much you will be able to earn from it. And then we will talk through the financing options that are currently available from the various finance institutions.
Ms. Husbands also gave the schedule for the meetings.
That is why we're going across the country. So we're going to be starting, for example, on Wednesday, we are going to be in Alexandra's Secondary School in St. Peter. That's the 5th of October. We're going to start at 6 and go to 8. And then we move to Checker Hall, Salvation Army. This is in St. Lucie. That's going to be on Sunday, the 9th of October. And then we'll be coming to Queen's College in St. James. That is going to be on Wednesday, the 12th, again from 6 to 8. And what this will allow us to do is to be able to provide people with the opportunity to ask their specific questions so that they can see renewable energy is for me.
Ukrainian forces have achieved their biggest breakthrough in the country's south since Russia invaded, pushing Russian lines yesterday and advancing along a river there. They recaptured a number of villages along the way and are threatening supply lines for thousands of Russian troops. Let's take a look.
Ukraine's armed forces released video showing soldiers raising a flag in a newly retaken village in the Kherson region. Their progress in the south has been slower than their surprise offensive in the northeast Kharkiv region last month. Even Russia's defense ministry spokesman was forced to acknowledge the losses. Russia has also been accused of blocking residents from leaving the region.
Occupiers have blocked the exit from the territory. People started leaving, and in that lies their response to the so-called annexation, since staying under the pressure of the occupiers is becoming less and less bearable. Also, the occupiers started talking about creating some kind of volunteer mobilization units, which are likely to become part of the Russian army.
Oda Abdelhamid has more from the city of Kryvyi Rih in southern Ukraine.
Well, we're just bordering the region of Kherson from the north. This is a city that comes under regular airstrikes, believed to be fired from Kherson. Now, what's happening is that the Ukrainians had been publicizing this southern offensive since the summer, and then took by surprise the Russians by carrying out the counteroffensive in the northeast of the country. Well, now again, while all eyes were on Liman, the Ukrainians seems decided that it was time to push, probably because rainy season is going to come and the terrain here in the south of the country is very flat and can become very muddy, making it very difficult for tanks to roll further south to try to take control of the whole of the Kherson region. Officially, we're only told that 2 villages have been liberated so far, but there is a lot of chatter on social media. There's also videos on social media that show Ukrainian forces hoisting the flag in places they have reached. And then there's also confirmation coming out from the defense ministry in Russia saying that in a place called Zolote Balka, for example, the Russian forces found themselves overwhelmed by the amounts of tanks the Ukrainians had. There is an admission on that side, even from the Russian-appointed governor of Kherson, that Ukrainian army has been managing to push down along the Dnieper River and in different areas.
It's 11 minutes after 6 on what is a wet Tuesday morning. Let's go over to Tisha now to see what she has for you on this edition of Morning Barbados coming up in about 20 minutes time. Tisha, what are you looking at today?
Thank you so much, Shane. Good morning to you and good morning, Barbados. We have loads planned for you this morning on the program. We have a lady coming through to tell us all about her experience through her mother with cervical cancer. You won't want to miss that. And she's on a journey of awareness. So we will share with her. We'll tell you all about the Barbados Trust Funds loans. So if you're planning a business, you have a small business, you definitely want to stick around for that, because we're going to share with you how you can get your hands on a loan or how you can hold on to a loan and get stuff done. We're talking a little bit of real estate with Sharita Odell as we get you ready for maybe renting or buying that property, and it's fitness with a twist. That's all coming up on Morning Barbados.
I know our viewers are looking forward to that. Get ready to get fit for the remainder of the year at least, before we get into Christmas with all of that eating. Thank you so much, Tisha. We'll see you on the other side. After the break, you'll hear about a landmark achievement for one of Barbados's ambassadors, and we'll have more stories coming your way in a matter of moments. It's a first for Barbados, the Caribbean and Latin America, as the island scores a major goal in the world of international diplomacy and labor relations. It has come with the appointment of Barbadian Ambassador Chad Blackman to the cabinet of the newly elected Director General of the International Labour Organization. Mr. Blackman, until last week, served as Barbados's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations at Geneva, Vienna and Rome, and ambassador to Switzerland, Austria, Hungary and Serbia. Now he's told CBC News that he'll be assisting to chart a new course for the ILO.
The Director General is looking to create a global coalition on social justice. There's no secret that in the world right now there's a lot of turmoil in terms of conflict, wars, debt, climate change. And the ILO, in his vision, it must be at the center of that driving force. And therefore, he's going to be bringing lots of different international organizations and member states in trying to readjust and realign a new movement of what development will look like, but certainly from the lens of labor. So it's going to be a very interesting time over the next 3 to 4 years, seeing how that will play out as well.
It seems like you always have the ear of some of the African leaders, from Dr. Tedros to presidents and prime ministers. What's the connection, or what's your secret with African leaders?
Well, the truth is, you may not know, but I'm a deep Pan-Africanist, even if you can see the garb I'm wearing now. But in addition to that, when you look at the history of between Barbados and Africa, and certainly the thrust that Prime Minister Motley would have been pushing, we have to ensure that we build those ties. And given that I've been able to build a number of strategic relationships over the last 4 years, as you said, with a number of African counterparts, and I think, therefore, once we can leverage that relationship then not just Barbados, but the Caribbean can certainly benefit. And I believe that given those relationships that I've had, it would have also played into the current DG of the ILO making me a part of his cabinet as well.
Mr. Blackman says his appointment also has major benefits for Barbados.
One, it allows, therefore, for Barbados for the first time to also be in a position where we are influencing not just from a member state perspective, but actually from an in-house scenario, driving the agenda, carrying out the Director General's vision. Now, given that my appointment is as his senior advisor, it therefore means a lot of what he is going to be doing, he will be taking counsel from myself. And therefore, I think for a country that is very, very small in geographic size, but clearly very big in heart, it really speaks to the testament of who we are as a people, as Barbadians. And it is very good, I think, also, when you look at it, it comes within just 1 year of us being a republic. We continue to strive in different areas of endeavor. And this certainly must be a hallmark for Barbadians to continue to pursue anything that your mind can perceive. Now, with regards to me personally, certainly it is not lost on me the history of the moment, particularly coming from the bosom of Grantley Adams' party, Barbados Labour Party, as well as the fact that the role that he would have played in the labour movement in our country, in the region, to now come full circle, as I said, in the advent of being a republic, to being the senior advisor to the person in the UN system globally who is driving the labour movement, is a very historic one.
The Barbados Light and Power Company is defending selecting the year 2020 as the test year in which figures were used to demonstrate why it needs a rate increase. As the Fair Trading Commission's hearings entered day 9 at the Accra Beach Hotel yesterday, the power company's Director of Finance, Ricardo Jennings, responded to the criticism that 2020 was not an ideal year to use.
When you look at the forecast with the proposed rates included and you contrast that against the expenses, and especially given the explanation that I just gave about the increasing cost pressure that we have, I think it demonstrates, the forecast certainly shows that even with the proposed rates and with the forecasted sales that we have in here, the forecasted sales increase that we have in here, that the investor will not be able to achieve the proposed rate of return or a fair and reasonable rate of return.
Intervener Ricky Went asks if the BLPC's country risk is falling, and it has an excellent track record, and since that is the case, why then is the risks spread between the debt and equity higher in 2021 than in 2020? The power company's expert witness explained.
Let me address that in two manners. One, the cost of debt that was raised in 20 and 21 was at very good rates that are beneficial to customers, and they were raised on the back of a lot of equity and on the backs of MR. There's comparable rate for debt in the US was well over 3% at the time. So, and why is the spread so large? Well, it's so large because all the risk that goes to Barbados investors goes to the equity investors. Remember, at all times, debt investors are paid off before there's anything left for equity investors. Correct. And at 65% equity, the debt investors are almost certain to get their money. Equity investors are not. And it's clear that the country of Barbados has faced significant troubles in the last, say, 10 years.
The FTC hearing resumes this morning. A decision should soon be made on what will replace the Lord Nelson statue in National Heroes Square. The update from Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Chantel Monroe-Knight. She noted that after consultation with the public last year, it was determined a monument commemorating the family would replace the controversial statue. Dr. Monroe-Knight said in May the division launched a competition for people to submit design proposals of what it should look like, and the final decision will be made by a committee.
The committee is headed by Steve Devonish, It is a multi-stakeholder committee, not only of government, including people from the artistic community, that are making the decision in relation to the design, through the process of that. The process is going to be completed within the week. All I'm waiting is for the committee to submit to me a report exactly on the process, because as a minister, because we wanted it to be transparent, I have not been involved in the selection or anything. Cabinet, nobody has been involved. It is this committee that has been receiving directly the submissions and would have reviewed them. I'm just waiting for them to give me a report now of the process, and then we will announce to the public, hopefully within this week, the top 3 designs and those persons that actually submitted, and they will be made public.
In news from the region, Guyana is one step closer to having the Council of Legal Education of the West Indies establish its presence there. The body at a recent meeting had accepted a proposal from the government. More in this report.
The Council of Legal Education of the West Indies, CLE, is the lawful authority for the administering of legal professional education in the Caribbean region. And during a meeting this month, Attorney General and Legal Affairs Minister Anil Nandlal presented a case for establishment of a council-run law school in Guyana. Nandlal, in his proposal, suggested the law school be a council institution.
Now that is important because legal services are in demand not only in Guyana but right across the Caribbean. But I want to emphasize that this is a regional law school that will be established in Guyana.
The Attorney General further states that this institution will not be a Guyana law school, and he reiterates that it will also facilitate students from other countries.
Students will come here from across the Caribbean. It will be an addition to the existing regional law schools located in 3 different jurisdictions across the Caribbean. Guyana hopefully will become a 4th destination.
There are 3 other CLE institutions in the region.
U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a $60 million in aid to Puerto Rico to help the island strengthen its infrastructure after the passage of Hurricane Fiona, which caused widespread destruction across the Caribbean last month. Meanwhile, the death toll of Hurricane Ian has risen to 85.
Most of those killed were in Florida, where the storm made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane, one of the strongest ever to hit the mainland. Residents in that state and the Carolinas face a recovery expected to cost tens of billions of dollars. The number killed is expected to rise as rescuers get to areas cut off by floodwaters and debris. Hundreds of thousands of homes are still without power. Well, the US President has announced $60 million in aid for Puerto Rico to help it recover from Hurricane Fiona. Joe Biden is currently visiting the US territory to survey damage caused by the Category 1 storm. Fiona caused catastrophic flooding and landslides and tore apart roads and infrastructure when it hit 2 weeks ago. Tens of thousands of people are still without electricity and water. Biden says the US government will not abandon the island.
Ever since the hurricane struck, Jill and I have had people in Puerto Rico on our minds and in our prayers. We came here in person to show that we're with you. All of America is with you as you receive and recover and rebuild. I'm confident we're going to be able to do all you want, Governor.
And a further update on the death toll from Hurricane Ian shows that at least 101 people have now lost their lives to that monster storm. We'll keep you updated in subsequent newscasts. The United Kingdom's government has reversed plans to cut the country's highest rate of income tax, marking a humiliating U-turn for Prime Minister Liz Truss's new administration. Well, yesterday's move came after more than a week of turmoil in financial markets there, which saw the pound plummet to record lows following the Chancellor of the Exchequer's so-called mini-budget announcement on September 23rd.
Delegates arriving at conference on Monday were greeted with the theme tune to a slapstick TV comedy, blaring from a protester's PA system.
The lady is not for turning.
Because just 24 hours after Prime Minister Liz Truss had said she was absolutely committed to abolishing the top tax rate paid by Britain's richest, Truss's Chancellor was announcing a screeching U-turn. The tax on top earners will stay.
I know the plan put forward only 10 days ago has caused a little turbulence. I get it. I get it. We are listening and have listened. And now I want to focus on delivering the major parts of our growth package.
This conference could scarcely have gone any worse for Liz Truss so far. The agenda derailed by a combination of tone-deaf policy and a lack of support from her own parliamentary MPs. This combative speech by the Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng, a clear attempt to put the party now on the front foot instead. Mr Gove, Al Jazeera, are you happy with the outcome?
But scrapping the top tax rate was only part of a bigger package which continues to divide the party. Former Minister Michael Gove has criticised it as unconservative, and other rebels have joined him. The opposition Labour Party is crowing.
Their instincts were to cut taxes for the wealthiest in society, paid for by borrowing, which in the end, current and future taxpayers will have to pay for. It was obvious they weren't going to get this through the House of Commons. They were forced into this screeching U-turn.
Policy experts have expressed surprise that the government could have been so out of touch with public sentiment.
Going forward, there are some difficult decisions to be made around public spending, around public services. And if they again choose to ignore their job as representatives of people, they will hit bigger hurdles.
This has been a deeply uncomfortable conference for the UK's ruling Conservatives, raising questions about the new Prime Minister's authority and the new Chancellor's credibility. Kwarteng has had his chance to reiterate the case for his growth plan. All eyes now turn to the Prime Minister's speech on Wednesday.
Sports now, and in a bizarre twist, Cricket West Indies has announced that Shimron Hetmyer has been replaced by Shamar Brooks in the senior men's team for the upcoming ICC T20 World Cup in Australia. In a media release last evening, Cricket West Indies said the decision by the selection panel was made because Hetmyer missed his rescheduled flight to Australia, which had been changed from Saturday, October 1st at his request due to family reasons. With flight availability a real challenge, a seat was found for him to leave Guyana yesterday, October 3rd, meaning he would miss the first T20 International against Australia on Wednesday at the Metricon Stadium. Hetmyer reportedly informed Director of Cricket Jimmy Adams that he would not be able to get to the airport in time for his flight to New York. Adams said it was made clear to Hetmyer that if there were any further delays and issues with his travel to Australia, then they would have no choice but to replace him in the squad, as CWI is not prepared to compromise the team's ability to prepare for this extremely important global event. Adams says Brooks has been a part of the recent West Indies T20 international squads and also delivered strong performances in the latter stages of the recently concluded CPL. Brooks is expected to fly to Australia as soon as possible. And that's sports this morning. Let's take a look at weather now. The temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, even with those early morning showers, which you would think would help to cool things down a bit. We had a few showers and it's windy. It's feeling like 32 degrees Celsius already, the apparent temperature. The humidity is up to 82%. The barometric pressure is 1011 millibars this morning, and the winds are coming out of the east at 32 kilometers per hour. We will see a high tide at, well, just after midday, 29 minutes after 12. There will be a low tide later on in the afternoon at 21 minutes after 5. The seas are smooth to moderate in open water. Swells are between 1 and 2 meters and increasing. Today in Barbados, we will get a mix of sunshine and clouds with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate shower and the very slight chance of isolated thunderstorm activity. And tonight it will be partly cloudy at first, becoming increasingly cloudy with occasional light to moderate showers. Remember, a tropical wave will be affecting the island between today and tomorrow. Further details in other newscasts. And here's a look at the international weather forecast. And that's our time for this edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 with headline news. Up next is Tishia Hines with Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning.
Beautiful morning to you. Good morning, good morning. So good to have you with us on this beautiful day. It's Tuesday, October 4th. I am Tisha Hines, and I'll be here with you for Morning Barbados for the next few minutes. It's going to go by very, very quickly, but we have a great show planned for you today. Lots and lots about health and different areas of health that you definitely want to stick around for. We'll be talking about real estate, jumping into that, and sharing about rental properties. A lot of the times we don't necessarily, do all the research we need to before we start things. And we're going to do fitness with a twist. So we're telling you about a dance challenge that is coming up as well. Lots planned. I don't know what you have been up to, but I certainly hope that you had a great evening, and we're going to set you up for a wonderful day today. We heard Shane talking about the showers that are coming, so make sure you're prepared. If you're sending the little ones off to school today, you want to make sure they have their umbrellas. I know last week our friends on the West Coast, they had a tough time, especially the students in that area. So make sure you're prepared for any eventuality. We are going to jump right into the very first segment, which is a very interesting topic that you definitely want to stick around for. A bit on the serious side, but we have with us Crystal Bowen, who is advocating for cervical cancer awareness. She's an advocate, and she is telling us all about the effects of HPV and cervical cancer. Now, she is sharing her mother's story, whom she lost earlier this year. So let's go right ahead and say good morning and welcome to Crystal. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, it's great to have you with us. And first of all, let me say thank you for sharing your story, and thanks for sharing your mother's story, because without people sharing these stories, a lot of women don't know, a lot of people. You can't just say women, because there are a lot of husbands and brothers and fathers who need to hear these stories as well. So let's start at the very beginning. How did your journey into creating awareness about cervical cancer begin?
Well, my journey started obviously when my mom passed away. I did not know that my mom was ill to this degree, and sad to say, we learned the diagnosis on the 16th of March, and on the 17th of March she passed away in the hospital. So it was very traumatic, the whole situation. I just knew that my mom was extremely ill, but I did not know what was the reason for this illness. And then when I found out what it was, then I was like totally shocked and amazed. And as I dealt with the funeral and everything after that, I decided, you know what, I need to do more, because I didn't know anything about cervical cancer. And I made a decision, I made an oath to myself that I'm going to do something, and that is how I created 63 days of cervical cancer awareness and HPV prevention, which I started August 15.
Talk to me about some of the symptoms. They say hindsight is 20/20. Finding out the day before your mother passed exactly what she was suffering through must have been even more traumatic than not knowing all of that, than knowing if you'd known up to that point. So talk to us about what are some of the symptoms that you would have seen along with your mom that you overlooked because you didn't really consider it early on.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say that cervical cancer is a silent cancer, which means in the very early stages, you will not see any symptoms. However, my mom did see symptoms. There was back pain, there was irregular bleeding, there was weight loss, there was loss of appetite. All of those things were unusual discharge. All of those things are symptoms of cervical cancer. And I really want to encourage all the women in Barbados to know that it is better to get early screening, which is the pap smear test, because you don't want to wait until it's too late. When you are starting to see symptoms, that usually means that it's at a more advanced stage. As my mom, she was at stage 3. So those were some of the initial symptoms that you can look out for.
So tell us about some of what you are doing to bring awareness to the cause. Talk to us more about 63 days of cervical cancer awareness and HPV prevention.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm committing to walking a mile a day. It's not every day because you know we're in the middle of a hurricane season, so you will have some situations where you're not able to walk. But to walk a mile a day, at least 63 miles, to kind of bring awareness. And on those walks, what I would do is I would share information, a statistic, a fact. I'm actually have a Instagram page called Miss_Penny246. And it's where I'm sharing all the information. What are the signs? What are the symptoms? Do women know that if you had multiple pregnancies that you are at risk for cervical cancer? Do you know that if you smoke that you're at risk for cervical cancer? So those are the kind of things that I'm bringing to the public. I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing, you know, my situation, how subtle it was. And as I said, cervical cancer can be very silent. In the early stages, you will not get any symptoms at all. And when you do, it is probably when it is really advanced. So I'm sharing information, we're walking. I have a whole group, my family are joining me. I have a colleague of mine, he's already walked 100 miles, sorry. He is a teacher and he has made a commitment to the campaign. I'm really impressed with all the males who have come on board, despite this being cervical cancer. And that is one of the ways that I have been trying to educate the public through social media.
Let's go to social media now. You talked about the response from your relatives and close friends and colleagues, but what about people you don't know? What about this outreach page that you now have on social media? What has the response been like to that?
It has been encouraging. I have the support of the Barbados Family Planning Association, the medical director, Dr. Daisley. She has been very supportive through the initiative. I've also had persons who have been recently diagnosed with cervical cancer reach out to me. I actually spent one evening chatting with a lady, you know, she was very upset and so on. And it felt really good to know that I could help somebody, a total stranger, you know, and I tried to help her kind of calm her down because I know she had a lot of anxiety. You know, you've just been diagnosed, you have your family to think about. So I am reaching out to people. I have people tell me, you know, I lost my mom to the disease. You're doing a great job. So there's definitely the encouragement. I've even got support all the way from Italy. Mr. Raul Williams, he shared his story with his daughter. They were in Italy and they decided to do the walk there. So I was really overwhelmed. My auntie in the US, my auntie Tennessee, she's also walking. So I'm really encouraged by the response that I have received over the last couple of days. Today is actually day 51. So I'm really encouraged by that.
Is there any one particular day that you'd like to share a story of that day with us? Because I know once we embark on journeys, sometimes things go in directions that we don't even anticipate they will.
I think I wouldn't say it started the on the day of itself, but definitely I was kind of I see how small the world is. The nurse who told me that my mom passed away, she actually attended my primary school. And she did reach out to me. She said, you know what, Crystal, I would like to walk with you. And I think that was so amazing that everything comes full circle. You know, I went to school with this person. This person then became a nurse who had to take care of my mom, a nurse who now is, you know, caring about this situation and wanted to be a part of that, the whole campaign. It all comes full circle, and I was really affected by that, and I feel like I am making an impact. Even though I don't have like 1 million persons on my page, I definitely feel that I am getting through to persons, and people are very encouraging based on the messages I've been sharing through the media. So that would be a good example of something that stands out.
Definitely. This is all very new. Just around 7 months or so. How has this helped you to grieve your mom's passing?
I mean, there are good days, there are bad days, there are days where you're all in tears, there are days when I feel extremely motivated, as I feel motivated being here on CBC talking to you. I mean, it's not a perfect situation, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing a greater good. I know that despite the pain and grief, that I am gonna make a change in some way. Somewhere on social media, you're gonna see my video. If you don't see it now, you might see it sometime, and it might affect somebody. It might impact somebody in a way that they want to do something about what is happening with them. They might actually go to the doctor and go and get a pap smear. So I am so encouraged by that. And even though this is not something that's gonna, you know, end tomorrow in terms of the grieving process, I just know I'm taking it one day at a time.
And what I really love about the initiative, apart from the fact that you're doing 63 days of awareness and your mother passed on at 63, so we can see the significance. I like the fact that you are calling awareness to it again, especially at a time where I think it has fallen off just a little bit because, you know, there's a system in place to vaccinate young children as they head into secondary school. And I think with all that's been going on with the pandemic and everything else around us, it kind of slipped on the back burner for a moment. So it definitely is the right time for you to shine a spotlight on cervical cancer again. And I must tell you, very, very interesting posts, and I think it's a wonderful concept. In an ideal world, what would you want the outcome to be of this initiative?
Well, definitely. I had three wishes. My three wishes are: one, I want to share more PSAs about pap smear testing. I think we have very little messaging about that at the moment. So that's one of the main goals that I think I can actually accomplish. The other two, I would need assistance. I wanted more education in the secondary schools about health and about the cervix and all of that, and getting young ladies more aware of what is happening within their body. So that's something that I would like to see. And also definitely national screening. It has worked in Australia. Australia is one of the few countries that is on its way to eliminating cervical cancer. They have had that program in place for a number of years, and it has shown its benefits. And I believe if Barbados wants to be the first, we always want to be the first in anything, we should be the first in eliminating cervical cancer in our country.
I want to thank you so much for waking up early and sharing with us. You've definitely been a breath of fresh air. A heavy topic because it's always difficult to talk about death and the prospect of death. And the big C, nobody wants to talk about cancer, but we definitely have to jump in the conversation and shine a spotlight and let people know they have to do their checkups. You know, do your pap smears, go regularly to your doctors, make sure that you get the information. And go follow Crystal online. She's on Instagram at Miss_Penny246. Thank you so much, Crystal. There she is. Make sure you go follow, but more importantly, encourage all the ladies in your life to get their pap smears and do their regular checks. We're going to take a break here, but when we come back, we are telling you all about the Barbados Trust Loans, the Barbados Trust Funds Limited. That's all next on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.
That's right. Good morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Barbados. I don't know what you're having this morning. Maybe you're a breakfast person. Maybe you are not. I know there are a lot of us who say, I don't necessarily want breakfast. And most certainly in Barbados, we hear a lot of people who prefer a big cup of coffee or a cup of tea, whatever you're having. Make sure that you enjoy it. All right. And get out of the house if you have to get to work early. You want to make a move because the traffic is horrendous. Luckily for me, I got to come out early and didn't have to contend with that. But for those of you who have to hit the streets, especially when it's raining, let me tell you, it can be challenging. All right, time for us to tell you more about the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. And we have with us Shanna Mears of the Liquor Room 9, and is pronounced LICC apostrophe ER. Now, if they didn't put that phonetically, Shanna, I probably wouldn't have guessed the name. So welcome to Morning Barbados. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm fine, thanks.
You'll be okay. You're just talking to a friend. Think about it that way. All right. So tell me a little bit about your business. You specialize in cocktails. It's pronounced the Liquor Room, a mobile cocktail catering service. Tell me more.
Okay, so as you said, the Liquor Room is a mobile cocktail catering service. So there are two aspects to my business. There's the cocktail aspect where I have 7 signature cocktails, and the one that I was able to really bring out during COVID. And then there's the catering aspect. Sometimes when I tell people cocktail catering, they ask me if I do food. But it is basically me coming to you and creating cocktails for your events.
Tell me a little bit about your background in creating cocktails.
Okay, so weird enough, I went to the Hospitality Institute where I did a bit of everything. I did waitressing, I did bartending, and I did kitchen. The thing is, I was horrible at the bartending. I basically only passed through theory. I was very bad at practical. But my first job at 18 years old, it was at a hotel. And I went in for a waitress job, and on day one, the manager was like, well, we need you in the bar. So I was like, oh, okay. But luckily for me, it was a low-key hotel. It had a lot of mature guests that they really just wanted spirits and mixes. So I used that time to actually train myself to become the mixologist that I am today. So I have been mixing from about 18 years old. So that would make it like 12 years that I've been doing it. And I am basically self-taught.
Oh, that is excellent. That's a great story. So tell me how you moved from working early on for a hotel to the point where you decided, I'm going to make this a business. Talk to me about that process.
Okay, so for me, I think I was a bit complacent where I was. I was getting up every day, going to work, you know, making a week's pay, and I think that was enough for me. And then I became pregnant. I had my son, and I think that put things in perspective for me. Because I did not want to, I always said to my family, like when I decided to have a child, regardless of if I was doing it by myself or in a couple, I wanted to make sure he was good. So for me, after I had him, I used to go to work and it was like, what's next? What's next? What are you really doing? And I was working at a hotel on the South Coast at the time, and I was actually unhappy. So it was making me kind of fall out of love with something that I know is a given gift, because I don't even drink alcohol. And I am amazing at mixing. So I said, well, this is a God-given gift. What are you doing with it? So I then, and this was before COVID, I started to create a plan. Said to myself, well, I have to create some generational wealth for my son. I don't want him to have to come up, although I had a great upbringing, I don't want him to have to come up and have to struggle in this world. I want to make sure that I at least give him a little cushion. All right. So I started my plan, and in a perfect world, I said that I would launch, that would have been Reggae on the Hill 2020. But then the pandemic hit and there was no Reggae on the Hill. So I just kept planning and planning all through the pandemic till I felt like it was time for me to get out there.
All right, and what was the next step? How did you get to the Barbados Trust Fund Limited?
Okay, so for me in the pandemic, I was doing a lot of programs. So my parliamentary representative, he reached out to me and he was like, there is this program going on at the community center, and I literally live right beside the community center, and it was about furthering my business, making it better. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go see what it's about, and I did, and that's how I ended up with the Barbados Trust Fund.
Would you say it was easy to be able to, after you had that initial exposure, did it make it easier for you to move into all of these plans that you'd been putting in place?
Yes, it was a stepping stone, to be honest. I mean, with any business, you have your trials, your tribulations, there's a lot of anxiety that comes with it. But I think just having someone there that is willing to listen, see your vision, and literally be there with you step by step.
Ooh, unfortunately, technology. That happens sometimes. We're going to see if we can get her back here with us. That, of course, is Shanna Mears, who is sharing with us about her business, the Liquor Room 9, and she was helped by the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. Of course, we're telling you all about that because we want to encourage you, if you have an idea for a business, to move forward. You know, you never know how the Barbados Trust Fund Limited can help you. They will help you with everything from business to funding. Let's see if Shanna's back. Shanna?
Hey.
There you are. We lost you for a moment.
Yeah.
All right, so you were telling me, you know, about how the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, the information they shared with you through that particular project was able to help you generally.
Yeah, so for me, I think it was just the comfort of having someone there that was willing to listen, understand, see your vision, the passion behind it, and push you. And that's one thing about this group. They literally push you. Like every opportunity that comes up, they're like, well, this is going on. Do you want to be a part of it? And I really appreciate it a lot because of every day, you know, I work full time. I am a full-time mom. So a lot of things can pass me. So I do appreciate the fact that they're there beside you, making sure that you don't miss opportunities.
What advice would you give to anybody who might be interested in starting their own business and they're looking for a little assistance?
My advice is to just start. The hardest part is to start. Do your research, because I think that is what I did. Even when I had already launched, because I basically launched off of savings, I still went ahead to learn about different groups in Barbados that would be able to aid and assist me in getting my business where it's supposed to be. So just research.
Do you have a signature cocktail, or are there a few signature cocktails? I want to hear all about them.
Yes, I do. Well, I have 7 signature liquor room cocktails. The 3 most popular would be Anything Goes, Cloud9, and Boss Lady. Okay, so so Anything Goes, it is a crowd favorite because I think Bajans love Hennessy. And it is a mixture of Hennessy and strawberries. For the Cloud9, that is for like the real drinkers. I always tell people, like, when you order Cloud9, just listen to the name. You will be on Cloud9. And Boss Lady is for all of my people that love a milk-based drink. It's like my take on basically. I lost already.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Oh no, did we lose her again? Technology. We definitely have to get back to the regular things. Of course, we're telling you all about how the Barbados Trust Fund Limited was able to help this young entrepreneur. You could check them out online if you have an idea for a business, or you are in business, you can apply for a small business loan today. Go check them out, and they offer assistance in many, many, many ways. Shanna, in the middle of telling us all about Cloud 9, it seemed you soared off on Cloud 9.
I think I did also.
All right. You know, for anybody looking to get into business, I want you to reiterate, you know, the help that you got from the Barbados Trust Fund Limited, because I think that's the most important part. There are a lot of younger people out here and some middle-aged people too who have really great ideas, and they're thinking, how am I going to get this funded?
Well, for me, the first thing you need to do is just make the call. Just make the call. From time you basically tell them what you're looking to do, they will assign you to a business officer, and that business officer will be the one that is going to aid and assist you. My business officer is Nisha. She is amazing. Literally, she's like my mini therapist. Anytime I'm having a downtime, a hard time, can't get something figured out, I call Nisha, and she basically always has all the answers for me. So for me, to you guys, just make the call. Just make the call and be serious.
Be serious about it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best with the liquor room.
Thank you also.
Your business, very, very unique. Catering, cocktails. I love it.
Please.
Who knows? You might be at my next shindig.
I better be.
All right. Shanamir, thank you so much. Thank you. Remember, you can check Barbados Trust Fund Limited on Instagram. You can also check them out on Facebook at Trust Loans Barbados, YouTube, Trust Loans Barbados, and you can WhatsApp your questions, any questions at all, to 228-3275 if you want to find out more information about the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's going to be at the top of the hour. We get some news with Shane Seeley. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, coming up, we're going to tell you all about pediatric chair with pediatric health and puberty in boys and girls with Dr. Gillian Birchwood, and we're talking fitness and a whole lot more. That's all coming up on Morning Barbados. But right now, it's time for an update of the morning report with Shane Seeley.
Thank you, Tisha. Here's your headline news for this Tuesday morning. Education Minister Kay McConney is responding to concerns about any significant increase in the price of healthier foods to be served to students under the new food and nutrition policy. Speaking to CBC News, she explains how the ministry used the SUN program in the summer to help guide the new policy, ensuring that healthy food is indeed affordable.
During the SUN program, the Summer Nutrition Program, our school meals department started to experiment with healthier ingredients in foods and recipes with which the children are already familiar. They did an adjustment to macaroni pie using healthier ingredients. and the children still like it, and many of them haven't even noticed the difference that has come about. But it has now less fat, it has less salt, and it has more vegetables included in that recipe. The same thing with what was the shepherd's pie. The meat, the red meat that was being used has been reduced, and something else healthier, lentils, have been substituted. However, they have been mingled and put together so well that many have not even noticed the difference. And so it is possible to make healthy tasty. And when you talk about affordable, our research has shown us that some of the ingredients that have now been substituted, in fact, making some of those dishes have become even less expensive to government.
The Education Minister also gave an assurance to support canteens, concessionaires and vendors in their transition as well. Now, the Met Office continues to track the development of a tropical wave to the east of Barbados, expected to affect the island late into tonight and tomorrow. The wave is located about a few hundred miles east of the island and the southern Windward Islands, producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Slow development is expected during the next few days. Regardless of the development, the wave, in combination with an upper-level trough, could produce 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, with isolated higher amounts of 3 inches in moderate to heavy showers. Winds are currently predicted to range between 20 to 30 miles per hour with higher gusts and showers. We'll have further updates for you in CBC Newsday. It is believed that some Barbadians may be reluctant to make the transition to renewable energy due to lack of information. That's the view of the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Business, Sandra Husbands. She says that's why people generally reject the idea of installing photovoltaic systems.
There are some citizens who don't know that there are some finance institutions that don't need a deposit. Many people don't know that. And at our sessions, what we're going to do, we're going to talk through what is the government policy, what are the benefits, what is involved in putting those photovoltaics on your roof, the strength of the roof, how much you can put on it, how much you will be able to earn from it. And then we will talk through the financing options that are currently available from the various finance institutions.
Minister Husbands there giving her take on the situation on CBC Newsnight in what was a preview for the hosting of a series of community engagement meetings concerning investment in renewable energy, which will allow householders to hear the benefits of RE, among other things. The Barbados Light and Power Company defending selecting 2020 as a test year in which figures were used to demonstrate why it needs a rate increase. As the Fair Trading Commission's hearings enters day 10 today at the Accra Beach Hotel, the power company's Director of Finance, Ricardo Jennings, responded yesterday to criticism that 2020 was not an ideal year to use.
When you look at the forecast with the proposed rates included and you contrast that against the expenses, and especially given the explanation that I just gave about the increasing cost pressure that we have, I think it demonstrates, the forecast certainly shows that even with the proposed rates and with the forecasted sales that we have in here, the forecasted sales increase that we have in here, that the investor will not be able to achieve the proposed rate of return or a fair and reasonable rate of return.
And the FTC hearing resumes this morning. And that's our headline news for this Tuesday morning. It is October 4th. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back over to you, Tisha.
Oh, thank you so much, Shane, for that update of the news. Morning Barbados continues as we tell you a whole host about what's happening in terms of pediatric care. And we are talking to pediatrician from the QAH, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, about puberty in boys and girls when we return.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to CBC TV8 for Morning Barbados on this Tuesday, October 4th. Rainy in some parts of the island. So get ready, because a little later we're going to reach out to you. So get close to the phone lines and we're going to have a little fun. But right now it's time for Dr. Gillian Birchwood, who is in with us for Doctor on the Line. And today we are looking at puberty in both boys and girls. And as simple as it might sound, I really want to, kind of delve into it, because puberty looks very different for boys as it compared to puberty for girls. So good morning, Dr. Birchwood.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome, first of all. Good to have you with us.
Yes, it's lovely to be here. So puberty, as you said, is a big topic of conversation for parents of children after the age of 8 and 9. They realize their little person is beginning to grow up, and part of those changes definitely involves puberty. And puberty doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of a number of years, as we would all well remember. And there are physical changes that are very obvious, but there are also emotional changes which are really important. And it happens in a very specific, systematic way that is quite predictable in the majority of cases. So it's really important for parents to start sharing with their children about the changes they can expect in their bodies, as well as the emotional changes from early, so that when they do happen, it won't be daunting and frightening for the children and parents involved.
All right, without getting too technical, what triggers puberty? Because there are some children who, you can see the changes very early on, and others, they're almost like, when will I start to look my age? So what triggers puberty?
Yes, so puberty starts in the brain. So there is a gland in the brain, and again, I won't get too technical, that starts to produce hormones at around the right time, that starts to stimulate different organs in the body, and then you start seeing the changes a year or two after those changes have started, the hormones have started flowing. So the gland in the brain that produces the hormones is called the pituitary gland, and it produces the majority of hormones, or is responsible for controlling the majority of the hormones in the body. So those hormones go to the ovaries in girls, they also go to the testicles in boys, and that's what really gets puberty going. So that's where it starts.
What are some of the wonderful things, I say with a smile on my face, that parents of boys have to look forward to in the various stages of puberty?
Yes, parents do dread puberty, mostly because, it really is a wake-up call for your child is growing up. But you are right, there are very specific stages that boys will go through and very specific stages that girls will go through. And we call those stages the Tanner stages. So you can see here on your screen that it goes from stage 1 to stage 5. And with Tanner staging, you really start to see the physical changes from Tanner stage 2, which in boys will typically happen around age 11. One of the earliest signs of puberty is actually not something that you're going to see in boys just walking around, and that is an increase in the size of the testicles, an increase in the wrinkling of the scrotum, which is the little sac that the testicles sit in. So those are changes that the average parent aren't going to notice right away, the child will notice. And then you start to see pubic hair forming. So that starts typically around age 11. Of course, it can happen a bit earlier or a bit later. Then the next stage, which is stage 3, that's when you really start to see the child beginning to shoot up, when they really start growing and they start eating, and your fridge handle is breaking off because they're in the fridge every minute, and their muscles start to get noticeably larger, and they start to look a bit more like men. They may feel a lot more like men than they really are, but they start to look a bit more like men around Tanner stage 3. And by the time you reach Tanner stage 4, that is associated with the development of hair under the armpits, and this is when you get that troublesome acne that none of us like to remember when we were teenagers. And then stage 5, which is the beginning of the end of puberty, tends to start happening around age 15. You get further spread of pubic hair, And in some cases, depending on your background, you will start to have facial hair as well. But one thing I want to mention, which isn't on this slide, is that boys can actually have a little bit of breast development at a certain stage of puberty. The technical term for that is gynecomastia, and they can have tender swelling in their breasts, which can be quite upsetting for boys, but it is a normal part of puberty and will definitely pass. And these are the physical changes you normally see with puberty.
Okay, good. Physical changes. Before we move on from the boys, let's delve into kind of the emotional changes, because I know this is where the parents, really need some help sometimes, because first of all, you have to accept that your little ones are growing up. You're seeing all of these physical changes, which can be difficult to deal with. And then sometimes, it's like an emotional roller coaster. So let's talk a bit about that and navigating that part of puberty.
Yes. So, the other big part of puberty are the emotional changes that come, and they are also related to the hormones that are surging through their bodies. And so these hormones actually are associated with changes to the brain, changes in the way that they are thinking. And as much as we are having difficulty as parents accepting that our children are growing up, they are also trying to navigate new independence, which sometimes parents are unwilling to give. And they are going through changes which may be sometimes a little, unsettling for them. They're starting to realize their body is changing. And so you may find that they may become noticeably more moody, which is, a big part of being a teenager. They are starting to try to reason things out differently, but they really still don't have a mature and adult way of reasoning things out. So although they may be beginning to look more adult, their pattern of thinking still is not fully mature. So you shouldn't expect your teenager to be able to reason things out the way that you do. So those emotional changes, they may snap at you, they may be more defiant than they would have been in the past. No longer are they just going to smile and do everything that you ask them to do. This is part of them learning how to navigate adulthood. And patience is really key from parents when they're going through this stage. It doesn't last forever.
And the patience the doctor is talking about is the one with the CE at the end. So, don't make the children patient. Let's talk now about the girls, because sometimes it feels like the girls are developing at such a quicker pace than the boys.
You are absolutely correct. So girls do start having changes of puberty earlier than boys, and we're back again to those Tanner stages of development, of physical development that you can see. And for girls, they do start a couple of years older than the boys. So they can start as early as 8 years old, and certainly by 9, 10, 11, girls are often starting puberty. Although it can take a little bit longer, it does vary. So you start to see the physical changes typically between 9 and 11. And with girls, the earliest sign of puberty is the development of what we call breast buds. And those start to form. Sometimes they only start forming on one side, and sometimes the breast buds can be tender, and that can be worrisome to parents who think that they are lumps on their girls' bodies, but they aren't lumps. That's the early stages of puberty, and pubic hair begins to form in this stage as well. And as time goes by, girls will start to develop different stages of puberty faster than boys. So they will have acne starting a bit earlier. They will have armpit hair and acne from around age 12, and they go through that rapid growth spurt at this stage, whereas it happens later for boys. And so what you'll find is that at a certain stage, girls are taller than boys on the same height, and this is normal because they're going through that growth spurt faster. And the first period happens on stage 4, which is usually about 2 years after you start seeing the first changes of puberty. So you have some time before the first period usually comes, when you start to see the breast buds form. And then that last stage of puberty, which is the beginning of stage 5, happens earlier in girls. They reach their final adult height earlier than in boys. So around age 15 is the beginning of that final stage in the physical and noticeable changes that you can see in puberty in girls.
I know oftentimes when there are concerns, it's usually the younger ones a little more concerned, and the parents saying, you hold on, you will get your turn. But,
Yes.
is there anything that we're looking out for during puberty that should get parents a little, a little more aware of what's happening with their little ones? What are we looking out for?
Yes. So one of the things is the timing of onset of puberty. In girls, if you see puberty starting age 7 or less, that's definitely early, and you should visit your doctor and explore that further for sure. In boys, if the puberty starts before age 9, that also will be a point of concern. If your puberty is starting late, if by the time a girl is 15 or 16 and she really hasn't had a period, you need to start asking some questions. And in boys around the same age, if you're not seeing those changes, you definitely need to ask questions. In fact, they will be asking you the questions, what's going on with me? Also, if puberty does not follow the typical pattern that we describe, those Tanner stages, which are very orderly and tend to follow one after the other. If you're seeing one Tanner stage developing way before the other, you're seeing extensive pubic hair and breast development, but a period hasn't started as yet, then something is unusual in those cases. Or if you see a boy who's having lots of pubic hair and his testicles haven't grown in size, that would be very strange indeed. So if you're seeing an unusual pattern, then definitely that's important. Believe it or not, body odor can start before puberty starts because it's not related to the same hormones that are responsible for puberty, or the body odor is heightened during puberty, because a common question I get asked is, my 6-year-old has body odor, are they starting puberty? And the answer to that is very likely no. It's actually a different type of development, different glands and different hormones involved altogether.
I know there's some uncomfortable topics that families, parents don't want to deal with, especially with their little girls, but particularly with boys as well. And we know at this time, parents don't necessarily want to talk to children about what these changes could mean if, they have sexual encounters or things of that nature. So what advice would you have for parents who are seeing their children through puberty in tackling the important things that they need to share?
That is such an important point, because children are relying on their parents for everything from the time that they are born right up to puberty. So you shouldn't abandon them at the time of puberty. And part of that really may be a reflection of how they were brought up, that these things were not discussed much, if at all, in households when parents would have been growing up. So it's really important from long before puberty to, I always put it as, decriminalize puberty. In other words, it's a normal process. Don't act as if it's a strange thing and you suddenly start talking to them when you already noticed the changes happen. Talk to them about it on a regular basis, just like you talk to them about anything else, and let them know it's a normal process, so that it should not be a mystery to them. And the other part of it is you don't want them getting information from the wrong sources, which is from various shady sites on the internet, which aren't really reputable, or from their peers who really may not know themselves, and they can sometimes share a lot of information that isn't correct and can in fact be frightening. You don't have to sit them down and have the one talk. It should be an ongoing conversation so they will know lots and lots and increasing amounts about it over a period of time. Start from very young. Where do babies come from? You start talking about it, and then you start talking about puberty as well.
Yeah, and not in terms of sugar cakes and cupcakes and stuff like that. So real talk. You have to use the real terms.
The real terms,
it could be difficult, but you really have to get into it, and so that we can equip the little ones on how to deal with life generally, because this is the start. This is the start of things. About girls, though, I had a question that came through from a viewer who wants to know about height. She said that it seems like her daughter isn't getting any taller, and she seems to think she should be a little taller based on her height and daddy's height.
Well, height is kind of a complex part of growing up. It doesn't only depend on mommy and daddy's height, it also depends on the height of people who came in generations before. So that's one aspect of it. The other part of it is sometimes in the early stages of puberty, children have not yet hit that growth spurt. And so when they hit that phase of growth spurt, which in girls usually somewhere around 12 to 13, you really see them starting to shoot up. Then they may gain 5 or 6 centimeters in a short space of time. And then you would realize, okay, they're catching up. So in some families, you may see that the children may remain seemingly quite short compared to their parents, but at a certain stage in puberty, they may grow very, very rapidly and come to what would seem to be a more typical adult height. But it depends on the stage of puberty, it depends on the genetics and the family background, not just in the parents' generation.
Can that growth spurt present growing pains for little ones?
Well, growing pains, well, sometimes they can actually happen long before puberty. So I wouldn't say that the growth spurt itself is linked to growing pains or what people describe as growing pains. It's more related to changes in the bone length that you can see in children, typically at a younger age. But you can have it happen at any age, not necessarily related to puberty.
All right. And finally, what advice would you have for the little ones? I want you to talk to them directly about engaging with the parents and holding the parents' hands as we go along together. Because sometimes, they have to help us along as well. Because I don't know, but, as a parent, sometimes it's difficult. I know you're talking about, all these changes and so on, but it's different when you have a child who's growing a little older and sometimes, they kind of pull back. They don't necessarily want you to see them the way you did before. And, so let's talk to them about managing the parents.
I like how you put it. So this is for all the children out there, who are coming from age 6, 7 and up. Don't be afraid to start talking to your parents about the changes that you're going to go through as you grow. You can encourage them to talk about it by asking questions. What's going to happen to me as I get older? How is my body going to change as I'm growing up and becoming a man or a woman? And they can really encourage the parents and just ask a couple of questions each time. And if your parents feel a little squeamish about it, sometimes you can ask your parents if they can buy a book for you, because there are really good books out there that can help to answer questions that perhaps parents may feel a little uncomfortable in addressing. But parents, start talking to your kids.
All right, good stuff. And of course, we get some wonderful help from the teachers as well with that health and family life education.
Yes.
So, that helps a great deal as well.
It does. Thank God for the teachers.
For sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Birchwood. Always wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
And you. All right, and we also want you to have a great day. I certainly hope that you enjoyed that conversation, but most importantly, I hope that if you have a teen or a tween or a little one who's going to be moving into puberty soon, that it sparked something in you, so you will have that chat with them. And like the doctor said, it has to be a continuous conversation, not just a one-off conversation, as people would say back in the days about the birds and the bees. No. It has to be a continuous conversation. We're going to take another break and come on back on Morning Barbados. So come back to me. All right? Come back after the break. Stay with me. Agent Sharita is in the house, literally and figuratively. She is talking to us today all about some of the mistakes that we might make or some of the wonderful things we should do if we're looking to get an apartment building or get an apartment in a building or, you know, along those lines. Good morning to you, Sharita.
Good morning, morning.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am good today. Can't complain at all.
All right, so let's jump right in. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when they are looking for apartments?
Good. Well, first off, automatically people think it's about, let me get something at a cheap price, a good deal. Okay, that's great, but you need to know exactly what you're getting into. You can't be ignorant of the market. So that's the first mistake. Sometimes people are ignorant of the market, meaning that they don't understand that, are they buying at the right time? Are they buying, yes, it might feel like a low price, but could it have been lower? And that type of thing. Also, you need to consider when you are trying to acquire an apartment complex, know the rents and property values of what you want to pursue. Are you going to be buying a property that is going to be primarily occupied with local long-term rentals? And we tend to classify long-term rentals as 1 year plus. Now, if you're buying a building with that in mind, obviously location, you know, can be varied. But if you want to buy a property with holiday renters in mind, location is essential. So those are the first two things to consider when acquiring an apartment complex.
All right, how do we gauge, you know, what these properties should cost? Because sometimes the prices are so different. I know usually in other markets, you usually have, you know, a market value that is around the same throughout the neighborhood. But in Barbados, sometimes you can see some prices that go from one side of the street to the other that just are so different. How do you gauge what is value for your money?
Well, this is where the valuers come into play. They are the experts at providing valuation reports that are thorough, that have everything from measurements to comparable properties in the neighborhood, 2 or 3, rate per square foot, that type of thing. We realtors as well can give you an idea of comparable value. That's why it's good to either have a realtor involved, or if you're going it on your own and you have cash under your pillow, still get a valuer involved. You need to know what is, as you said, the market rate of that property, because you don't want to be thinking that you got a deal at 300,000, but then hear that the market rate for that specific area is only 215,000. You may have spent little in your head, but still more than the property is really worth. Also, with these valuations, you go a step further by getting a sense as to what the rent in that complex should be. Because you might buy a building at a very attractive price thinking, yes, got it, ha! But if the rents are only $800 a month for 4 apartments, will the income really cover, after your running costs, will it really cover your mortgage and put something in your pocket? Remember, apartments are about making money. So you have to sit down and truly count the costs.
Absolutely. Sharita, so what are some of the things that you absolutely should not overlook when you are buying an apartment building? For example, some people may look past it, oh, these are just a few damages. But when you're the landlord, then that might present another set of challenges.
Yes. Well, first thing, when you make an offer on a property, even let's say a property comprises 6 units. And because it's tenanted and you can't, and the realtor can't get all of the tenants to open up their units at the same time, you might only see 2 units and decide to make your offer on that because the condition is good. Now, listen to me. You do not sign any conveyance handover final money unless you have walked in to all of the units. You see, because what happened, they didn't show you John's pot smoking unit. And John, even after he's left, all the walls are stained with smoke. All of the walls comprise the smell of weed. The floors are water damaged because he had his little gross sprinklers in there. And the reality is, it sounds funny, right? But these are situations that happen. People invest in a building thinking these 2 units look great, but oh shoot, we now have to spend $5,000 to bring back John's unit to normalcy. And that is going to impact your overall cost. So see all the units before you close the sale. That is a prerequisite.
I'm not getting over John with these sprinklers in the apartment. And, you know, John was doing the most. Yeah, but absolutely. Is there an ideal situation, though, you know, when you're looking for an apartment building? Is there an ideal situation in terms of having tenants who, you know, who already have agreements in place, or getting an empty place, from your perspective?
So once you have done your verification of what your property should be yielding, so let's say we've done all of our due diligence and we worked out that, you know, our apartment should be pulling in $1,800 a month minimum to cover all your various costs, running costs and so forth. You have to ask to see the leases of each occupant. You can then make a decision that you want to acquire that property vacant possession, meaning that when the sale closes, you want it empty because you've determined that, look, we really need to renovate all these units if we want to get $2,000. But when you look at those leases might tell you, wow, okay, these tenants have been here each for 2 years or more, and they're all paying perfect rates. So do I get rid of them, or do I work with them and just renew the leases once the terms are good to go and keep that money coming in? They're already there. They've proven that they're worthy tenants. They pay on time. The money covers the expenses. In this instance, let me ask to retain those tenants when I take over the property. That's the only instance when all the dots and stars align.
All right, so let's give the people on the other side of things a little help before we go. You might be looking to buy, so you're looking for those things. But what about people who are looking to sell? What are some of the extras that they can do to make their apartment complex a little more appealing?
I would say, well, number one, when your property is in good condition, that heightens the rate of you getting what you want. As a landlord, you should always upkeep that property. When you upkeep that property, the likelihood of the tenant staying on and paying you properly is much higher in the first place. Also, think about it. If I'm an investor and I come and see that, wow, you painted every 2 to 3 years. I hear from the tenants too, because I'm going to talk to the tenants. Yeah, he responded when there were issues. I will kind of trust the plumbing. I will trust the electricals. You know, even though I do my checks and so forth, it is important for you to upkeep that property before you try to sell it. At least make it look cute before you put it on the market, even if you don't spend excess. So that is what I would do on the seller's end. One thing I want to say, going back to the buyer, and this is often something that you forget to take into consideration because the bank has, you know, they're going to give you the money, yay! You forget to sit down and truly count the cost of running this complex over time. You see, when you look at those leases carefully, you realize that the water is coming to you, the landlord, and that water bill is coming in at $1,800 a month. Did you calculate that in your expenses? You want to spruce up the landscape. Did you include that cost? The building, because of the location, has a very high insurance rate. All of these things you have to think of when buying, not just a low attractive price, but what is it going to cost me to run this annually? And by the time I get back the rent, do I gain something? Otherwise, buying an apartment complex is a waste of time if you're pouring out money and making none.
Well, that's a great place to wrap it all up. Consider those operating costs before you move into anything. Very, very important. But the one takeaway that's sticking with me, you know, based on After everything you said, I just know I don't want a neighbor or a tenant named John. Growing weed. Where'd you come up with that? It's
These
too
are the
funny.
things that float around in my head.
Oh my
one thing I
goodness.
have to close out with. Do not, as a buyer, do not fall in love with the property because it's sexy. Don't do it. Don't buy a property because you've fallen in love. Buy a property because you've conducted. Yes.
I
When
want
it
to
comes to
fall in love
apartment
with the
building,
property I buy.
no, there can't be any love involved in buying an apartment complex. It boils down to sheer numbers and due diligence. The end.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds like you should approach every relationship like that. Numbers and due diligence. You have a great day, Agent Sharita.
You too, take care.
Thank you. Definitely some wonderful advice. Not about the relationships, only about purchasing that rental property, all right? only from that perspective. All right, it's time for us to have some more fun. Get close to your telephone lines because we are going to be giving you some words to unscramble coming up. We're going to take a break and come on back. Stay with me. We're gonna stand? Okay. Hi. So you want me to go over there?
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you on this 4th day of October. It's a beautiful day outside. It's raining in some places, nice and bright and sunshiny in others. Whatever you're doing today, make sure you do it with a lot of zest and have a good time doing it. It's time for us to reach out and touch you and for you to call me 228-5562 or 228-5563. Unscramble these letters and let me know if you are on top of things this morning. All right? My disclaimer, I'm not the one putting these letters up, by the way. All right. So first one, remember you can call me. And as long as you can unscramble these letters, we'll see. Let me see if I can. I think I know what that is. But do you know what that is? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Call me up and let me know what that Bajan word is. I'll tell you that. All right. So time to go to the telephone line and see if there's anybody there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Where are you calling me from?
I'm calling from St. Michael's, Hill.
St. Michael, good stuff. Is there a lot of traffic where you are?
I can't see.
She said I can't see. All right. Do you know what that spells?
Dumpsy.
Listen to me. Why do Bajans say dumpsy? All right, you have to use the word in context now.
That little boy so dumpsy.
That is so wrong. I shouldn't laugh. We are horrible with that word. I do not like that word. Dumpsy. And I guess people don't see the irony in pronouncing a word like dumpsy incorrectly. Oh my goodness. What are your plans for today?
Well, I have some housework to do, and I'm trying to get in the garden, but the rain is holding me up.
All right. Well, you have a good time. It sounds like you are just maxing and relaxing. I want to thank you for tuning in to Morning Barbados. And I want you to have a great day, all right?
All right, thank you.
Okay,
have
bye-bye.
a great day too.
Thank you. She had a good time with that one. Listen. Ooh, let's move on to the next word. Ooh, this one. Let me see. Am I looking at these letters correctly? Let me see. Yes, I think I know the answer. They don't tell me the answers, you know. But another Bajan word. Producer, is this one or two words? Because I think that's not one word, is it? Two Bajan words. Two Bajan words. But two Bajan words that come together as one. You know, there are some words that we just bring them together, right? We make them a family. So if you think you can unscramble these letters and make two Bajan words that really we pronounce as one Bajan word, call me up. 228-5562, 228-5563. Let me know where you are and then tell me what word this is and make a sentence for me. Let's get the brains going early this morning. I think that one is a little difficult, but I think I can see something. All right, someone is on the phone line. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. That's the Bajan thing. All right, where are you calling me from?
From St. George.
St. George?
Yeah.
Where in St. George?
Lower Estate, St. George.
Lower Estate?
Yeah.
All right, you know where CBC is?
Yeah.
Give me some directions to get by you. I'm kidding. Do you know the words? Can you unscramble it?
Yes, please.
Okay, what is it?
Vacation.
Who?
Vacation.
Security?
Yeah.
Security ain't got enough V, man. Mr. Laura Estate, what's going on? I don't think so. I don't think that's security. SEC. A few things missing from that security. Yeah, definitely wouldn't want that security at my property. Yeah. All right. So let's take another call and see if someone can get. I told you guys this one is a little difficult because it really is two words, but pronounced as one because of the way we speak. You know. So I don't know. Try it. Try it. Try it. It's not as difficult as you might think. Yeah, so call me up and let me know if you can unscramble that. So this morning we had St. Michael and St. George coming through. Good stuff. Let's see where this next caller is from. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Who's this?
Angela from St. Michael.
Angela. Hey, Angela from St. Michael. How are you doing today?
I'm not too bad. I'm all right.
All right. What do you have for breakfast today? Or you're not a breakfast person?
Yeah, I'm a breakfast person, but on mornings I like to start my breakfast with a glass of water.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. All right, can you unscramble these letters for us?
Yes.
All right, tell me.
Ever since.
It is ever since. All right. Now you have to make a sentence for us. Use it in context. Ever since.
Ever since they ready for shit, she ain't get here yet.
Where'd she go, Angela?
She probably stopped at the shop too long.
All right, thank you so much. You have a great day. I hope you have a wonderful breakfast.
Thank
And you have a great rest of the day.
Yes, thank you.
Oh my goodness, this is too much fun. I think I'm enjoying it a little bit more than you. Remember, reach out to us. Morning Barbados. We'll be right back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Right there, the green was plugged into the black.
All right, so fitness is taking a different shape this morning. Thornwood is here with us.
Morning, guys. It's good to be back. I feel like I took a
All right.
for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah,
2 weeks you were away?
Yeah, I was gone for 2 weeks.
All right.
All right. UV life.
That's good stuff. So you're making a move to get people moving more.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're doing now, especially with our apps. We were thinking about giving people incentive for exercise, and this is where it starts. So I decided to start like a little challenge in conjunction with some sponsors who brought us some really nice gifts. So we're giving away a shaker cup, a shirt, a shopping bag.
All things with S's.
Yep. a full body composition scan complements CaliFit. Keychain. So you guys have a list of prizes to win from this challenge. It is super simple, guys. All you gotta do is exercise and do a little dancing. We're promoting movement.
Okay,
right?
so he tells me I have to dance this morning. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Let me take a little bit. Well, we can take a look at the video first so
Okay.
the viewers can see how it looks, and then we can come back and we can do it.
All right, so let's work on that. Let me see what this challenge is, and then I'll decide if I will try it or if I even can. I'm just rhythmically challenged.
Oh, of course not.
I am. Dancing is not my thing. Okay, so let's see the video. Before we see the video, though, I must tell you, you should show me the steps.
I should show you that,
Let me
definitely.
see if I can dance
all
along
right,
with
all right.
it.
So it's a little easy beginner steps. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. right? So you can just go from side to
That's
side.
easy enough.
Real easy. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside. Heel toe in. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then your next slide, you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we go down to the floor. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we like to use the hips so we can sway a little bit. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then it's a step to the left. 1, 2, and we turn to our left. We go left hand, right hand, pull, look.
Ooh.
That's what we're doing.
I'm
Go
almost
left, left, right, pull, look. So once you face it this way, your head is facing that way. Once you pull by your right hand, then you look. And you step back.
Maybe we're there.
Really easy, guys. Super
Yeah.
easy. Once you get this challenge done, like I said, there's a list of prizes for you to win. Make sure to fill out the form in my bio in order for your application to be valid.
All right,
for the
so let's
competition.
start at the very beginning. Are we going to your social media page?
Definitely.
Okay, so we're going to your social media page.
Mhm.
You first have to record a video
Mhm.
of you, maybe you with a few friends doing this challenge.
Exactly.
And then you submit it.
Yep.
Where?
You submit it right online. So once you've completed the form that acts as your application for the competition, essentially when you upload your video, that's your video submission. So I encourage people, to get as creative as possible. Oh, look, we're here. Get as creative as possible with your video, and just try to have fun with it.
Ooh, look, that's a good job. How about that?
And that is Dominique. Big shout out to Dominique. She is actually not a dancer.
Hey, Dominique.
That was her first time doing the challenge. Left.
But is there some specific music? Because it's different when you're kind of just dancing from your head, like you were
So
doing with
this song is the Kulosa
Okay.
song. I wanna love you every day.
I have no clue.
Yeah. You know that song. If you hear it, you will know it. If you hear it, you'll know it. What we can do is that next week when we come back, we can bring the music for you to really get in the groove. You have up to the 15th of October to send in your video submissions.
I'm really happy that you are doing something to get people moving more. I most certainly can get moving more. I have my Fitbit here, and even though I keep it looking pretty, it's not just for that. It's really meant to kind of get you moving. And if you can move in different ways, I think dance is a big part of it. As a part of our culture, we naturally like dancing.
Like movement.
And there are some of us who think we can dance in our heads, like me.
That's where it starts. It starts in your head, and then the body follows after. The body the body achieves what the mind believes.
Okay.
Essentially. So like with this particular challenge and the others that we're going to be coming, because we have one happening after the 15th, and we're going to be doing these throughout the year. It's just to get people moving. I know exercising is hard. For some people, I enjoy it. I enjoy the pain of it, but I know it's hard. So I want to find as many ways as possible to get people moving and get people exercising, so you don't have an excuse. So you can dance, you can swim, you can play tennis. With these challenges, we're going to spread them as wide as possible, that everyone can participate in some form or fashion.
So what got you into fitness initially? I know you probably shared that with Pearson at some point, but what got you into fitness initially?
Dance, to be quite honest. Dance. I did start out doing track. Unfortunately, it didn't love me as much as I loved it. That takes you back to when I was a 14-year-old who wanted to be the fastest man in the world. But dance is what really got me into fitness. I transitioned into dance when I was maybe 17, 18, dance and gymnastics. And, I've never looked back since. From around that time, we had someone who was managing a group who was a personal trainer. He said, well, you look like you have, affinity for it. Why don't you give it a try? And the rest is history, to be quite honest.
All right, good stuff. Remind us what we're going to win once we do this challenge. I'm going to go away and pull my troop together.
Exactly. Get creative. Get creative. Get as many people as possible doing it. Remember, you have to fill out the form. In my bio, it's going to be at the top. I can show the people in the back to put the little picture. Right? In my bio, there we go. clay.cle.woods. Make sure that you fill that out. That helps us with the back end to give out more information. You're winning a shaker cup, you're winning liquid vitamins, you're winning an immune booster, t-shirt, shopping bag, keychain, and a full body composition scan complements Caliphate 246. So that tells you your body fat percentage, muscle percentage, BMI, and the list goes on. So we're not just giving away tiny things, guys. We're trying to make it, bountiful.
Yeah, make it interesting. And of course on social media, especially for people who follow on Instagram and stuff like that, there are so many challenges going on.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to see a lot of Barbadian faces doing a nice little challenge. How about that?
I'm participating. Yeah, we love that. We love that. Like I said, we're trying to change the narrative of the island, man. My dream is that in a couple of years, there's a completely fitness island. That's the idea. Everybody walking about with 6 packs, that kind of stuff.
You mean like beer?
Like, if you want, you can have both.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yes, I did.
Yeah, eventually, like you just want to have everybody physically fit and as much as possible and involved.
Yeah, I know what you mean because, I was on a fitness journey for many, many years as well. And I've fallen off the wagon, but, it's a journey.
Exactly.
So, you can always get back on, you can always do stuff. And it's a really great feeling when you're fit.
That's what I tell people as well about falling off. The beauty of falling off is that you've done it before. So it means that you can get back on, maybe in a different way. Maybe you find something that's a little more interesting that will grab your attention, but like you have done it before, you've been there before, so it's no longer uncharted territory. So you just got to get up and try.
It's true. And the thing about fitness is that one thing that only you can work for. And once you achieve it, it's an amazing feeling. To know that you are the one who did it, you're the one who worked on it. And you have to keep working on it because if you stay away for a week or two, trust me, he might like the pain.
When you return, yeah, man, put in your 10,000 hours. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, man. It takes you 10,000 hours to master a skill. You only have one body, and you have it for as long as that you are here. So why not make it the best body, best functioning body, best feeling body, best looking body that you possibly can for the rest of your life?
So it's a dance challenge. Take the challenge. Make sure you go to the page and check it out. It's CLE.WDS, Clay.Woods on Instagram. Remember to do the forms, fill out the form, get creative with your video submissions, and let's have some fun, guys. Let's change the narrative of Barbados. All right, for sure. It's that easy. It's very, very simple. That's it for today for Morning Barbados. Be sure. Morning, we have some amazing stuff planned for you. I'm really enjoying the early mornings. I'm telling the truth, but you make it that much easier. So see you tomorrow. Remember, be sweet to yourself and wear that smile. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.